All right, good evening, everybody. Hello. It's 7 o'clock, and I've been harassed by everybody saying, how come you called this meeting during the football game? Well, life is tough. So they were giving me a hard time that I shouldn't be so windy tonight so that we can get back and we'll watch the game. But we've got some really important things to talk about tonight and the people to meet, so we're glad that you are here. Along with the other 8 members of the board, 9 of us serve as your board of directors, and this year I happen to be the chair of the board and president of the cooperative. And so I get to go down and sign all the documents and do those kinds of things. And I'm honored to do it. And I said to Julie, I'll keep doing it till my brain I got to get her done before my brain goes, so we'll make it happen. So I want to start tonight because we've got some new folks with us, and we want you to meet them. And Rianne's been doing this. She interviews well, and so we're going to start out with interviewing our new folks who've come tonight. So welcome them here.
I'm going to hand her this.
Okay.
Here we are. I'm going to put this in here
Okay.
myself. And then if you
Face
turn
the
around
crowd.
and hold the microphone close, I'm going to have to move this one a little. Maybe I will hold this. That's
Okay.
probably easier right now.
All right.
Okay. To begin the introduction of our first new resident tonight, I want to start with a question. How many of you have ever attended a meeting in the boardroom on the 3rd floor? Okay, most committees have met there at some time, or you've been there for something else. How many of you, when you leave that boardroom, chat in the lobby right outside the boardroom door? Okay. Well, I'd like you to meet the lady who lives across the hall from the boardroom.
Watch what you say now.
Yes. This is the lady that probably knows more than any of us of what's really going on in this building. I'd like you to meet Barbara Glass, who lives in apartment 320. And when did you move here, Barbara?
I moved here in August.
And where did you come from?
I had a home in Richfield. I have met some people here who came from Richfield, and I decided it was too much for me, so I sold the house, and in the meantime, Barbara had called me and said, you got to look at this apartment.
Okay.
And I'm so happy because I got the south exposure. I love it.
Good, good.
Yep.
And are you retired at this point?
Yes.
From
Yes.
what? What are you retired from?
I was a teacher in Minneapolis. I was a homemaker for many years. We lived in Pennsylvania, and then my ex-husband moved back here with Control Data, and it was very hard to get into the system, as Linda can tell you, in the 90s. So I did get a job, and I eventually finished at Kenny School.
Oh, at Kenny School. My boys went to Kenny School for a couple of years.
Wonderful school.
That's in South Minneapolis.
Yep.
Yes, good. And are you enjoying living here? What's your favorite thing so far?
You know what I've been finding? That the exercise programs they have here are just wonderful. And last week I went to the one on Monday in the exercise room. It was that man, I didn't catch his name, but he puts a circle, and he is excellent. He does charge $15, but if you go to physical therapy, it's $20, so it's well worth it. He is just as good or better than going to physical therapy. And then another one I did, and I don't see it, was chair yoga. And I love that. So I'm going to go there on Thursday. Chair yoga. And I hope I see you there.
You probably will. You've
Yeah.
just done a very good sales job for us.
It's wonderful.
And what other interests and hobbies do you have, Barbara?
When I first retired, I was into volunteering for the Minnesota Orchestra. We took the bus from Southdale down 11 o'clock Thursday morning to Orchestra Hall. I don't know if any of you went on that bus, but it was wonderful. Then they cut it out after the pandemic. And I enjoyed the orchestra. And I also did the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra in, where was that? At that church in Eden Prairie. Maybe some of you go there.
Yeah, the Woodlake. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
So you're a music lover.
Yes, yes. And I even volunteered at the Cedar Cultural Center, if you know where that is. Because I like folk music and all that. And I like to dance. And they had Cajun dancing down there. Yeah.
Well,
That's a long time ago, I must say.
let's give Barbara a warm welcome to 7500. Thank you. I'll take the microphone.
Yeah, I take it.
Thank you so much, Barbara. The next new residents are a couple that moved in November. Come on up, Jim and Linda. And I have to tell you how I really got acquainted with them, because this past week, when we had the Peruvian dinner, Jerry and I had reservations with another couple who had to cancel in the morning of the day because of illness. And so we called Nick and said, "Is there a waiting list for the Peruvian dinner?" And there was. And guess who was on the waiting list?
Right.
Jim and Linda were on the waiting list. This is Jim and Linda Romslow. They moved here in November, and they live in unit number 529. How did you happen to pick 7500 as your retirement home?
Well,
Go ahead.
we had, I had been
Hold
visiting,
it real close.
I had been visiting Clara Sanderson through my church friendship, and her husband, Keith, I started bringing communion to. And I just loved visiting her, and her unit was so lovely. It just felt like home to come here. And a friend had told me, it's not that easy when you want to get in somewhere. You better get your name on a list. And
You
I
did.
took her advice, and we agreed sometime way off we'll have that option. It was our insurance policy. Put your name on the list here. And when they called a little year and a quarter later, we were shocked, but it meant the world to us. It felt like a blessing, like it was meant to be.
Well, and the interesting thing is they're in unit 529, and Clara Sanderson lived in 829. So they moved into the famous 29 stack. I'm their neighbor in 329. It's a popular stack, isn't it?
Well, we're thankful.
So-
It's lovely.
And
Yeah,
what
we're
are
glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. What are you retired from?
Well, I spent 35 years with the West Publishing Company, publisher of law books and more recently, computerized legal research. And then I took early retirement at age 58, and since then I've been a court-appointed guardian and conservator for disabled adults.
And you're still
And
doing
I still have about 10 clients, but I haven't accepted any new appointments in the last 10 or 11 years.
So they're long-term
Yeah.
people.
And how about you, Linda?
Well, I have had a variety of experiences, and taking care of grandchildren has been a priority through the years, and helping my parents who had health issues. And I was a Minneapolis teacher right out of Augsburg, and had a variety of experiences. After some full-time, I started, when our kids were older, started a lot of part-time experiences, even seeing Barbara with the Chapter 1 program. I did homebound tutoring. I even had a year at the University Hospital bone marrow transplant unit. Those kids appreciate the normalcy that comes with some tutoring.
And you mentioned you have grandchildren, so you must have children. Are they living close by?
We're blessed. They're close by.
Right. We have our daughter is 50, almost 51. She's a vice president with the Health Partners organization here in the Midwest, and our son is 47, and he is an attorney with an investment company based in Minnetonka.
And how many grandchildren?
Or
Oh. That keeps
the
you
oldest
busy.
is 20, and the youngest is 11, and she finished at Cornelia School on May 30th. And our son had said during pandemic, "Do you want us to help you move? How long are you going to stay here?" And we said, at least till Abby, the youngest, was out of Cornelia. She could walk home from school if her mother was out of town for work. And May 30th, I saw her graduate. I walked home, and within 10 minutes, I got a call that ID said 7,500 York.
and you started your journey to live here.
Somehow meant to be.
Yeah. Well, we're delighted to have you here. I did ask Jim if he would mind speaking a minute or two about his cochlear implant, because I have a son who's deaf who was not eligible for a cochlear implant, but I know a lot of people with hearing loss are curious about a cochlear implant, and Jim said he'd be happy to share a minute or two of information with us about your cochlear implant, because you've had it for a long time.
Yeah, well, I've had my cochlear implant now for
Hold your
over 10
mic up.
years, and it started, with a whole series of appointments. I've had a hearing disorder dating back to at least 40 years, I think. But so I went to the University of Minnesota Medical Center. It's one of the two in this state, I believe, that can provide cochlear implants. The other, of course, is Mayo Clinic. And a series of appointments to determine if I was appropriate for the surgery and the implant, and determined I was. So there were, most cochlear implants look more like a hearing aid. This one has an external unit called the processor, and it provides very good amplification. The sound quality from that implant is not perfect, but much better than it was before. And I do get better sound quality from the conventional hearing aid on my right side. So it's worked out very well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, if you have further questions, you know where you can find him. They're in 529.
And thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everyone's been so welcoming.
Well, good.
It's been just a blessing. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for being here tonight. Good. I'm going to move this over here.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much, Rianne, and thank you, folks, for taking the time and standing up in front of us. We appreciate that. What an interesting group we are, and it's just been fun to meet and welcome new people. So, and I'm always glad to hear that people felt welcomed here, and that that is a good thing. Even when you're across from the boardroom, that's even better. That's pretty good. I'd like Margie Ragetz and Michelle Krakowski to come up. Would you ladies please come for just a minute? I want to have them come up because the chair and the co-chair of RAC, these were the two women who organized and worked to lead our Ethnic Week. Did we have a good time in Ethnic Week? We had a terrific time. And I want you to be sure to say thank you to you guys and all your team. And just a word or two, what should we know about what you did so hard and to encourage others to participate next year in that team?
Well, I didn't know we were going to do this, but here we are. Anyway, first I want to tell you that our 16 RAC committees had representatives that formed the Ethnic Week Committee once the country had been chosen. And so we went to work. And of course, we want to thank them. We want to thank Kara, who did so much unbelievable with all the, she did the booklet, she did the posters, she did the calendar, she did all the paperwork and technology and organization, and we are so blessed to have her. But in addition to that, I think the success of Ethnic Week belongs to all of you that were so faithful in attending our meetings, all of our events, because that's what made it the success it was.
I would just add that Margie did want to mention the housekeeping. Oh, yeah. You know, this room was taken down and put up so many times last week. And they kept doing it, and it was so efficient, and they did it with a smile. So we're very grateful. So the dining service, I mean, it was all the staff, everybody who lives here. You know, we all worked together. It was wonderful.
I mean, it's amazing that we can do.
It was a miracle, is what it was.
Ladies, thank you so much. Good clap for those. The talent of our leadership team, and then the folks who made presentations, and that's been a long-standing tradition here at 7500. It's a continuing education, which is one of the ways we keep vital in this community. But just a word of thanks. I put on my Bolivian sweater tonight. And Ruben came down from the 9th floor and said, "Way to go!" He was glad that I put the sweater on tonight. So I wanted to show him off on this, so this is good. So a few things I want to go through tonight. Rianne, you want this? That's yours. Okay. We have a group of us. I appoint as the chair of the association or of the co-op a team that works with our management in relationship with Morrison Dining Services. We call ourselves the Quarterly Business Review. And I want Rianne, who is our liaison to the Food Service Committee, to bring you a good news update of what we have been doing this last quarter in our dining services. So where did you go, Rianne? You're over here. All right. So give us a report. Tell us what's up. And it's been darn good. Thank you for all the good work you've done in your team.
I'm going to move this over to the side because I'm going to show just a few PowerPoints. Now, can everybody see the screen? There won't be a lot up there, but there will be some. Let me begin by saying that did you know that the York Room has 2 committees that work with it on a regular basis? The first one is the Decorating Committee, which is called the York Room Committee. And that committee of 7 people provides for the decorations on the table, the lights in the window during Christmas, the big bouquet when you come in to the entrance to the dining room, and for the artwork on the walls. That's the York Room Committee, the Decorating Committee. The other committee is the Food Committee, which also has 7 members. And the Food Committee works with Nick, our director of the dining room, and the ideas that come from you and others as to what you would like to have for food service. The committee has been led this year by Alice Bronstead, the chair, and Carrie Sandgren, the vice chair, and it's been a very busy year for the Food Service Committee. And as you know from Kara's presentations at the managers' meeting, all committees are looking for members to volunteer, because in March we'll have the volunteer fair, and committees, you know, have a 3-year term limit for members. So there will be people going off of the York-Broom Committee and the Food Service Committee. So if you like either of these committees or the things they do, consider signing up at volunteer time. But let me tell you about the Food Committee and specifically the quarterly business review. The Food Committee meets on the first Thursday of every month at 10 o'clock. The Quarterly Business Review Committee meets once every quarter, and we happen to meet this past Thursday. The Quarterly Business Review Committee begins with Rich Omland as chair of the board and me as liaison to the board, Alice and Carrie, and Mitch Ollendorf sits in the meetings too. And we meet with Nick from our dining room, plus 2 or 3 members of the Morrison organization. Morrison is the food service vendor that we've had for the past 10 years. And it's usually our local person who is our direct report is Tracy Hennon, who lives in St. Cloud. The regional vice president is Rob Schwindiger, who lives in Bloomington. So we do have 2 people close by who are lead people for the Morrison organization. And these PowerPoints that you're seeing are ones that Nick put together for the quarterly board report, and I asked him if I could borrow a few of his PowerPoints. And one of the things that happens at every quarterly business review is Nick updates us on the staff. One of the wonderful staff announcements Thursday was that our waitstaff person, Carmen, received a 15-year award from Morrison. Now, she's actually been with Compass. That's the parent organization of Morrison. She's been with Compass for 15 years, and they presented her with this award. You're going to read about it in the March issue of the York Times. But she has been here with us for 7 years on our waitstaff. And did you know that one of the college girls, who's a waitstaff person, Angela, is her daughter? So we're delighted to have both of them here. We also get updates on other staff matters that Morrison wants us to know about. Of the staff people at Morrison, 2 of them are salaried. That is Nick, the director of the dining room, and Eric, our executive chef. All the rest of the employees of Morrison are hourly people. Some are full-time, some are part-time. At this point, the other employee issue Nick shared with us is he's looking to hire a few more evening waitstaff persons. It would be part-time. So if you know of any people who would like a part-time evening job or any college students, please have them give Nick a call. And maybe they would come on board. Let me switch to the next picture. Chef Eric, do you recognize that picture? How many of you watched the video, the cooking video for ceviche? Oh, good, a lot of you did. That's the first video that our chef has done. He really enjoyed doing it, and Nick said they might consider doing some more cooking videos. Wouldn't that be fun? Anyway, you know, Nick has been here almost a year. He came last February. Our chef, Eric, has only been here since September 11th. So this is his 4th month here, and I think he's made quite a change. And I think that another interesting thing that Nick has introduced to us this year has been the food forum that's held on the third Thursday of every month at 10 o'clock in the Fireside Room. And I'm so glad that so many of you come to that forum to give input to Nick and to Chef Eric and to give them feedback, suggestions. And I hope you have found that Nick is really quite responsive to the things we suggest. In fact, at one of the first food forums where he was asking people, are there foods you would like to see? And I think the first thing suggested was bacon and liver. A bacon and liver dinner, yes. And he's been serving that about once every 6 weeks. And frankly, I thought my mother made the best liver and onions, but I think Chef Eric's is even better than hers was. But that food forum is a place where you can share ideas and get feedback. Next. That is ceviche. But have you been enjoying the variety of meals that Chef Eric has been preparing? Good. We have seen a real upturn in the dining room this fourth quarter, and I'll share some numbers with you in a minute. We have been so pleased with the quality of his food, the diversity of the menu, even how he plates the food is just picture perfect, I think. And if you look at this picture, you'll see one of his tilapia dinners on the right-hand side. They're just beautiful to look at, but also delicious to eat. We are pleased with the responses we've been getting on the Happy or Not machine. I don't know if you've used that yet, but you can give feedback when you leave the dining room. And every Sunday night, those statistics are listed and all the comments. And we get to see them as members of the Food Service Committee, and it's also something that that both Nick and Eric pay a lot of attention to. We were pleased to learn at this quarterly business review that we are getting between 92 and 99% positive ratings. So that is wonderful. Then we see our two friends, Dorothy and Jean, at the Christmas tea. Do you know how many people attended the Christmas tea this year, which was catered by our dining room? 276. That is wonderful. And that committee deserves a lot of credit for putting that together. It was led by Carol Wolf and Rosemary Dean this year. And next we have special events. One of the things that Nick and Chef Eric are open to is having a lot of special events. And so we've had the October brunch. We're having a Sunday brunch, the third Sunday of every month. Remember last summer we were having brunches every Sunday? And we were having sometimes only 20 or 25 people there. Once in a while we'd get up to 40. Wait till you hear the numbers on what we've been having at the third Sunday. I'll give those to you in a minute. But we've had also the Thanksgiving buffet. We've had the Christmas Day buffet. We've had the New Year's Day buffet. We have birthday dinners. We have floor dinners. We have pie afternoons this Friday. It's silk pie from 1 to 2:30 or something like that. Anyway, Nick and Chef Eric have been very willing to try many kinds of new things. Now, what I'd like to share with you are some of those numbers. Let me tell you what we've had for special numbers. The Sunday buffet brunch in October was 85 people. That's more than double what we had any Sunday during the summer. In November, it was 77 people. In December, it was 79 people. So it's been a very popular event. It's going to continue the third Sunday of every month. The evenings that we have birthday dinners in the dining room or floor dinners, and those are Wednesday nights, we have huge attendance in the dining room. The birthday dinners plus people that eat in the dining room totaled 74 people in October. Now remember, we used to have 30, maybe 40 people for dinner in an evening. Well, with those special events. For birthday dinner evenings, we're up to 74 in October, 82 in November, 90 in December. That's a very full dining room. The floor dinner Wednesdays, we've had a total of 81 people in October and 81 people in November. Good numbers. The Thanksgiving buffet, 117 people. 120 is the capacity for the dining room. For the Christmas Day buffet, we had 102 people. And we were very close to 120. I don't have the exact number for the New Year's Day buffet. So our buffets have been going really, really well, and they will be continuing. But here's the best number. And I really attribute this to the promotional work that Nick has done and the excellent cuisine that's been coming out of the kitchen under Chef Eric's leadership. A year ago, we were having 1,300 to 1,400 people a month eat meals. Last January, February. In October, we had 2,305 meals served. In November, 1,972. In December 2071, we are averaging slightly over 2,000 meals a month. That is fabulous. I think we can still do better, but that is fabulous. Now, I thought you might be interested in some other statistics. And that is that 22% of those meals are eaten at breakfast. Only 5% are takeouts at noon or lunchtime, that 11 to 4 time. 73% of the meals that are ordered are for the dinner hour. So 3/4 of our people are at dinner, and 1/4 of the dining room people come for breakfast. Now, the interesting thing is the number of guests. I don't know how you were feeling a year ago, but I didn't feel much like bringing guests because I was never sure of the quality of the food. Any of you feel that way a year ago? Well, let me tell you, in October we had 80 guests. In November, 133 guests. And in December, 106 guests. So you're feeling more comfortable inviting people to come for these special dinners that we have here, and that's wonderful. What percent of people do you think, or what percent of food is eaten in the dining room, dine-in versus take-out? Higher. 80%. 80% of the meals are eaten in the dining room. 20% of the meals are takeout meals. So those are quite interesting and quite fine statistics. The challenge with the dining room financially is to break even. The dining room is not a profit center for the building. The dining room has as a goal trying to break even. We haven't broken even for years and years. We've usually had a deficit in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $50,000. That is getting to be changed quite a bit. The dining room has 4 sources of income. Did you know that? There are 4 sources of income for our dining room. The first one is the $115 a month that we pay. Each of us pays because we're part of a cooperative. The second source of income is the number of meals that are ordered by residents. The third source of income is the number of meals ordered by employees or guests. And the fourth source of income is other culinary services. And you might ask, what is that? It's the catering that the dining room can do. And I don't know if you've thought about the catering that the dining room does, but if you have a party, a birthday party, anniversary party, a family reunion in the social room, you can order food from the dining room. You can order heavy hors d'oeuvres to be served on that wonderful center aisle. You can order fancy desserts. You can order salads. Whatever you want. If you're having a party in there, you don't have to fix the food. You can order it from our dining room. Just meet with Nick, and he'll help you plan, and he'll give you the cost so that you can make good considerations. The other thing is that the opportunity exists. If you're having a dinner party in your apartment and you want to order a casserole, let's say you want to order scalloped potatoes and ham for 8 people. You can talk to Nick, they'll fix it, and you can pick it up. I know Phyllis has done that. And yeah, it was wonderful food. So I don't know if you were aware of those possibilities, but you can have catering done to your unit or to the social room by the dining room. So keep that in mind. And then I wanted to mention that the budget this year, as I mentioned, is again a little short. We're about, well, we've got a glitch this month. For some reason, there's a huge natural gas charge for the dining room. We don't know where it's coming from. It's probably something wrong with the meter, so I'm not going to include that. But the budget is short about $24,000 this year, which is much better than it has been. But I will say that Nick has done a tremendous job with developing the revenue stream. He came in only $57 short of the budget goal. That is amazing. And it's because all of you have come down to have dinner, to have breakfast, to order out for your apartment. So that was really good. But we did have some major expenses. You know, the kitchen is as old as this building. And a lot of the appliances in there are old. And this year we had some major expenses with venting, with refrigeration, with a dishwasher, and so forth. And that is what has led to the deficit that we have this year. But our goal is to break even, not ever to make a profit. That is not in the works at all. And then I wanted to mention what the topic is actually for the evening, and that is actually it's a response because we had the contract with Morrison ending May 31st this year. And the Food Service Committee, Alice and Carrie and the others, did some searching through other senior living places, independent living places, as to what kind of food services they were providing. And there's a whole raft of different types of provisions made out there. The thing about independent living is you are not required to provide food for your residents. You are if it's assisted living. But in independent living, it's a choice that building can make. And the choice was made here when this building opened that there would be a dining room. And we've always had a dining room. We're going to continue to have a dining room. And after all that exploration and talking again with Morrison, the food committee has made the decision. We've worked with Morrison and board members and Mitch for the last, 6 months at least, on possible contract changes that would be better for us. The old contract had some glitches in it where they were not sharing in losses and so forth. And so after months of work, we are probably this Wednesday, the board is going to approve the new 2-year contract, not a 5-year one, but a 2-year extension that will go until May of 2027. Now, we've heard concerns, the board members have heard concerns from members of this community. Is the dining room going to close? No. The dining room is not going to close. It's a major amenity, and we're using it so well that we've got this new contract that will be in place, and the new contract has some benefits for us. One, they reduced their management fee to us, the perks and so forth for their employees, from 43% down to 38%. And they reduced that also for the hourly employees from 36% down to 34%. So we have a savings there. We also insisted on having a sharing partnership with them on gains or losses, like the 24,000 loss that we have this year. But we are pleased that there is going to be a share now. At the end of the year, we will look at where we are in the budget, and Morrison is also participating with us. They will share if we have gains. They will share in the losses if we have losses. It's not all going to fall on us as it has in the past. And then also there are lots of other little things in there that we have corrected and improved. Our input into the budget and the issues with substitute people that come in. I don't know if you know that last year when we were going through the transition of the director of the dining room and the cooks in the kitchen and the executive chefs, we were having so many changes. And Morrison was sending in people from California, from Denver, from Indianapolis, and so forth. And we discovered we were having to pay the travel, their lodging, and so forth. And luckily, Mitch caught that, went back to Morrison. They reimbursed us. So we have gotten that clarified in this new document. So we are very confident at this point that this is a good contract that we're going to have. We are also pleased with changes that Morrison has made this year. Before, the leadership team from Morrison came up here from Chicago. There was nobody in Minnesota that was somebody we could ask questions of directly, or who took supervision of any of their employees that they had. But now, Rob is here in Bloomington, Tracy is here in St. Cloud, and they have really increased their attention to Minnesota and the needs that we have in Minnesota. So for all those reasons, we are very confident about this new contract. And the other thing is that Nick and Eric come with the contract. If we didn't have Morrison, we wouldn't have them. So now, before I ask if you have any questions there, let me give you a little hint of coming attractions. One is that you now know that soup and sandwiches are available from 11 to 4 at a cost of $8.50. And that is Nick's suggestion that he could do that after the Stop and Shop closed to help those who would like to have soup and sandwich available at noon. Nick's idea, the food service listens to these ideas, the food service has to approve them. Another Nick idea is that beginning soon, you will have the option to have meals delivered to your unit for a fee of $5. This was an idea Nick had. He was thinking about people who have COVID, people who come back from having hip replacement, knee replacement, and might need meals delivered for a little while. And the food committee talked about this a lot, and there's a motion going to the board at our meeting on Wednesday to approve this. I have a hunch the board will approve it. Don't you, Rich? I think. Anyway, those are the kinds of decisions that the food committee makes. I mean, the dining room doesn't make all the decisions. They may make the suggestions, but the food committee has the opportunity to discuss and make the decisions on these. It also was the food committee's decision to go to 5 days a week. And we are probably going to be staying at 5 days a week, even though we've had a lot of requests on the happy or not. In fact, the sad faces have been with comments from people who are sad that there's not 7 days of food. It is just not economical. A 5-day work week for the employees of Morrison makes the food service much more affordable. That's a board decision. I mean, well, it is a board decision, food service committee decision. So the decision to go back to 7 days would rest with our team, and it's probably not going to happen. But anyway, to give you another little heads up. Valentine's Day is coming. Nick made a suggestion to the food committee back in, I think it was November, early December. Would we ever want to have a prime rib dinner? And he was suggesting it maybe for New Year's Day, and the food committee said, no, we can't do it by New Year's Day. We would need to have a lot of publicity. Well, he came back with information about it, that we could have a prime rib dinner for $30 for a 14-ounce prime rib. And you know, Chef Eric came from a chop house. He's a master of grilling meats. That's his specialty. Anyway, so the food committee said, well, we can think about that, but that's pretty pricey. How about if you have a second entree so that there's something more in the usual price range? And so it's going to be a surf or turf dinner. You can order prime rib for $30 with a baked potato and all the trimmings and so forth. Or you can order teriyaki salmon for $16. Anyway, that's going to be coming up on Friday night, February 14th. Now, because the chef is going to have to know how many of you really want prime rib, there might only be 5 of you, or 6 of you, or there may be 30. This is a time when your reservation is going to have to be called in, because you're going to have to tell them what you want, because he's only going to order the number of prime ribs that he has reservations for. So watch for this information. It will be coming out soon, but this is a new experiment. We've never had a $30 prime rib here before. So we'll see how it goes. And the big thing also, as I mentioned when I introduced the Rumslows, if you find you've made a reservation and you cannot keep it, please call Nick, because he is creating waiting lists for people who want to come, but they didn't make the reservations early enough. And I'm sure that may be the case for Valentine's Day. So make your reservations early and make your cancellations as early as you can. Are there any questions? Yes. Those are two totally separate issues, but those are two separate issues. Yeah, and the dining room, as I mentioned, has a $24,000 deficit this year. And it has had a much larger deficit in previous years. But the dining room is not closing. Well, I don't know what other people would think of that, but we do look at prices carefully. Food prices went up. We do look at pricing very carefully, and hopefully we can not have major repairs in the dining room or in the kitchen. That will make a huge difference for us. But Nick does his best to try to keep prices at a reasonable level. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, they do. They provide food for Northridge. They also provide food for some colleges and even K through 12 schools. Some, was it hospitals they mentioned? Yes, they have several other. But we are one of their original independent living sites. Mm-hmm. Good question. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing that I discovered this week, and maybe you have too, but I wanted to pass it on to you. You all got this directory book? Well, have you thought about using it as your York book? I put a pocket in the front to keep the things that come out that the bulletins that come out like we need candidates for the board of directors. I had my Peru book in there and so forth. And then the menu from the York room on the other side. So it's now my York book. You might want to think about that.
I'm always looking for my stuff. I want that, yeah. All right, watch your feet now and be careful here. Let me get this out of your way. All right, very good. Thank you, Rianne. I'm going to make just one clarification so that you make sure you understand when my colleague Rianne says that at the end of the year, we lost about $24,000. What she means is after our subsidy. So you got to remember, after all of us, before we start eating, we all together for a whole year long, we put in over $500,000 into that restaurant. After that, we should make it break even, and we can't make it break even yet, but we're getting way closer. Now, just remember this is our most expensive amenity, but it's a good amenity. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I tell you, bringing Nick on board and then our chef has just changed the way the whole place operates. Life is complicated. It's too bad we didn't have that going before, but that's just life. So just keep that in mind. All right. If you have to go to watch the ball game, go ahead. I will not be. I will not worry about that, and I'm glad that you can do that. I have I'll go fast. This week you got from the office a 1098 form. Everybody get their 1098 form? Someone asked me, Rich, I didn't know I had a mortgage. Well, you don't have a mortgage by yourself. The co-op has the mortgage. And what's listed on your 1099 is your unit's share of how we do the mortgage. And that's information for your tax preparer. So just remember, that's why I put those 2 paragraphs back in that piece about how we own this place. These are the most 2 important paragraphs you need to understand. You do not own your apartment. You own a share of this business, right? Everybody understand that? And you lease your apartment from the cooperative. But you do get a 1099, so you want to take that to your tax preparer. But what it says is that your unit has part of that mortgage, not you yourself. You got rid of your mortgage when you sold your house. Everybody understand that? But that's what you have. That was kind of, somebody said, "Oh gosh, Rich, I didn't realize that." I said, "Well, that's how we own." Yeah. Well, that's right. Except they'll want to know. My tax guy, even though I take the standard deduction, he wants to know what my mortgage payments were and what that principal. I mean, he'll use some of that, but you're right. But I'd hang on to it anyway because it might be information your tax person might use. But yeah, you're right. Most everybody these days, it's easier. They've made it so we can just do standard deduction. That's for sure. You got a note from the nominating committee about the elections to the board coming up at the annual meeting the first Monday of May. I want you to consider to think about you or yourself or people you know who might be good board members, because there'll be a number of spots that we'll be running for this year. So please do that and encourage people who are interested. What we need is thoughtful, bright, smart people willing to work and take the time to do the effort. We don't need bomb throwers. We got enough of those kinds of folks, But what we need is people who think and work well together, who would do well for the good of the community. All of us on the board are thankful that you trust us enough. We're working hard, and just remember the decisions we make affect us as well as affects you. So just keep that in mind and talk to your friends and your neighbors and do some thinking about good candidates. Again, the Ethnic Week. I found this on the back table, a chart of all the things and all the people who work so hard just to make things go on in here. Thank you to everybody who did that. The fitness committee, I really appreciate this. They've got their own PR out. The fitness committee is looking for members. They're a subcommittee of RAC, and they've said what they do, and they've got a really neat piece out here. So they're already recruiting ahead of time. That's very good. I like that. Did you notice the one thing that came from the administration this week about scam reporting? We must have had some problems. Did anybody get caught in this deal? I hope not. But it was helpful that it came out. Just be aware. Take care and watch it. Yeah. Did you get $7 million? Very good. Did you get a handsome prince too that wants to marry you? I should have, All right. So just know that. I want you to take. Now, the other reason I printed those 2 paragraphs is Mitch at the managers meeting this just a week or so ago said we are beginning now something that's really not been done here over the history of 7500, but we should have been doing for a long time, and that's we're doing a trial run because we're doing a unit inspection, and we're taking an inventory of everything the cooperative owns in all of our units. 4 folks volunteered to run the trial run this week. We're implementing the last module of our Belay Soft system, that is software system that's helped us do management, calendar work, and a number of other things, and it will give us a complete inventory. So over the next few months, our software company will be coming into everybody's unit and inspecting all the property. Remember, everything that's there, that was there when you came, belongs to the cooperative. You may have upgraded it, but the co-op needs to know what we have. Right now, we've got files from 25, 30 years ago with just a bunch of paper. We're systematizing that and able to bring us into the 21st century. So just know that that's coming. So your unit will sooner or later be inspected, and they'll do an inventory of all the things in each of our units. So just be aware of that. That comes under that heading that the co-op owns the land and owns the apartments. We rent as renters. We own a share of the business. So keep that in mind. A couple of weeks ago, we did the filter changes and battery changes. And it came out that be aware, it said, if the staff has to come in and you've got big heavy stuff in front of your heating unit, you shouldn't do that, of course. But we'll have to move it, and if we have to take time, it'll be at your expense. Someone asked me and said, Rich, that's discriminatory against people who can't move things. And I said, well, I understand that, but you can ask your neighbor, you can ask your family, whatever. They were worried, we're going to charge you. You know how many charges we made after doing 330 units? How many charges had to be made? 1. 1 charge is all we had to do. That's good, because what that says is be sure you keep your stuff away from that heating unit. And here's the big thing. If something happens and there's a leak or, God forbid, a fire or something, they've got to get there right now. They don't need to be moving stuff. In the case of some people, just piles of stuff in the way. You can't do that. You got to leave that stuff clean so they can get at it. But I said, how many people did we have to charge to move? 1 unit. 1 unit. That's good. So how about this? Let's see. Filter and back. All right. Items to note. Get your information in for the directory. We had some glitches. We'll fix it and get her out by the end of the week. So make sure if you've found any glitches, get her done. Nominating committee, I said that. Committee recruitments, okay. Updates from the management. I don't know about you, but I've really appreciated the updates that have come out at the end of the week. Mitch puts out and some things that everybody should be aware of. So if you don't have your email address down, make sure you give it so that you can get updated just like everybody else does. That's terribly important. The managers meeting this month was especially helpful in that matter. Major item to come over to the transportation committee, to the bus committee. The bus, like the boilers, is struggling. How many of you ride the bus? Very good. It's a good thing. I've been on the bus. They do a good job. We've got some problems. We've been like the boilers. We've been piecemealing it. My hunch is we can't piecemeal it much longer. In fact, the guys tell me if we had to pass all the inspection, we don't think we'd pass everything. I said, is it safe? Yeah, we can drive it. It's safe for people, but we're going to have to do something. So just know that the bus committee and the property committee and the finance committee and the board are going to have to look at that situation. We have the bus in the reserve study, but we don't have enough to cover the whole thing. But we do think we have a plan if we need to. We've got money in the legacy account that we can use on behalf of that bus. So just know we need to pay attention to that and take care of that business. The board meets tomorrow morning with the finance committee. The board and the finance committee will meet at our advisor who manages our portfolio for our $5.5 million fund that we keep for the reserve study and all the rest of the things that we do, is going to meet with us and bring us up to date for our quarterly report. The board will meet with the finance committee just for that first part. That's terribly important. We keep those things in a well-balanced portfolio. We have an investment plan, and we've got a good company that we work with. But it's, again, one of those things. It takes good people on the finance committee and the board who's got to meet and continue to do good work all along. Then the board meeting is on Wednesday, and I think there's a couple meetings in between that. I mean, we're going to get to go to meetings this week again, members of the board and members of committees. The first thing on our agenda, or at least now, what I've done is on the back side of your sheet is our agenda for Wednesday, and that's the board agenda that we'll meet, and we're going to be introduced to the audit by Wifley, our auditors. They're going to do an introduction to the board. I tell you, the audit of last year is one of the most important things the board and the finance committee do for the cooperative, for the corporation. We've got to audit the books, and when we get to the annual meeting, we have to have a positive report for you, or we have not done our duty. So we're beginning that process. We've had really good reports. Our auditors give our staff and give our committees the gold star. We manage well, and we take care of your finances and my finances very well. We will do our typical administration updates and the legal items that we have to deal with, because anytime there's a change of ownership or any other legal matters that come, the board has to act on them on behalf of those who've made that request. We've been working on policy updates. Rianne has been leading a team that's of the board members. We're working on putting our policy packets together. Policies are complicated, but they're very interesting and they're very important, so that we have a sense of how we act and live together in this community. That's very interesting work, and when we get it all done, we'll have a booklet published, so you will see all the updated policies. Until then, of course, the long established policies are how we operate the cooperative. There is going to be an item. Did anybody get to take advantage of the $300 if you would give up your parking place permanently? Very good. I appreciate that. We're down, we think, to 3 or 4 people who are new in the building. We've got our wait list knocked down to 3 or 4 people. We'll probably, don't quote me on this because I don't know, we'll probably authorize till end of February. We've got it in place until end of March or end of January, but we'll probably go another month. So if you're considering giving up your car and as in a permanent spot, we can surely use it. So as the board will offer you $300 to do that. Comes out of some administration money that we have, as well as it's a marketing deal, because people tell us the reason they don't look at $7,500 is because they can't get a parking place right away. Now that I understand that, especially about December the 10th, right? You could understand why people say, hey, I'd like to be on your list, but I am not going down that road until I can get a parking place. I still just am astounded to think when this place opened for about the first 15 or 20 years, all we had was the old garage below this. We didn't even have the north garage. They had to wait. Some people waited 4 years to get a parking place. Can you imagine that? That's just amazing. And we're still struggle to make sure we have enough parking places for everybody. And you heard Rianne talk about the extension of a 2-year contract with Morrison. What that will do is that will give us some breathing room as we start to look at the long-range plan and how we're going to use that dining room. We think that will be, it's really an important decision how we're going to make that look. I can't tell you how much Eric and our chef have changed people's attitudes toward it. It took 1 or 2 people, and the world changed around that. So that will give us some breathing room. We'll look at that contract, and that will come before the board for possible adoption at this time. So I could go on longer, but I'm quitting. That's as far as I've got. Questions or comments before we go? Those of you who are football aficionados, and you could head back to watch the ball game. Man, I was fast. Yes.
I have a question about the chef and the Eric and Nick.
Yep.
Are those folks provided by the Morrison?
The whole outfit is provided by Morrison. The co-op does not know how to run a restaurant, so we hire a company to do that. And those 2 guys, as Rianne said, are the 2 contract employees of Morrison's. They are executive folks, and then Morrison hires all the rest of the staff that works in the wait staff and in the kitchen. Yep.
When you get a good chef, how do you, the biggest key is how do you retain them?
Well, that's the problem. I mean, that's the challenge. I mean, when we were looking at the future of the dining room, we said, here's the challenge. If we change people, we get the right people, that just makes things go up. But our threat then is, how do we keep those people? Now, our chef tells us he likes it here because instead of working nights and weekends in the chef world, he works Monday through Friday during the day, and he's tickled to death. So we've got one advantage. He loves it, but you're right. It's always a threat. One person moves and boom, it's you never know what happens. So we think about that all the time. It does keep us awake at night.
You look like you're tired out.
I tell you. I keep thinking, I've got papers and notebooks that I keep. Am I this crazy that I can? Actually, I'm learning more than I ever wanted to know about this place. But I'll tell you what still makes the difference is the people in the administration and the people you get to know. You've liked it here, you guys, because people have treated you well. I think it's our greatest asset. Working together, even when we're a pain in the rear end to one another, you get through that kind of stuff and you work together to make good things happen. And on that note, thank you and good night.